Didn't have to.
He came out on fire and then set it on down. Let's take a look at the West. The standings here, you know that line, that number 8.
It's so crazy how close it is in the middle there.
Yeah.
Because Denver was just number 2 like last week.
Yeah.
And then they dropped.
And close at the bottom. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
Sacramento and Phoenix, they're looking like they're gonna get in there. But 6, 7, and 8 to me are teams that legitimately have a chance to get to the conference final.
Yeah,
You don't
I
normally
like
see
Golden
that.
State a lot. What they've done with Jimmy. Clippers are looking a lot better in Minnesota. They look like they can upset some teams. Like those 3, you can see some upsets with those teams.
And it's interesting, too, because the quality of those teams. I mean, you look at the seeds and you would say they were an upset, but you just said it. You wouldn't be surprised if they made it to the conference final. So is it truly an upset, or is it just how they landed?
I think both teams gotten here. Well, I should say both. Clippers, all 3 of these teams have dealt with a lot of adversity.
Yep.
Right? If you look at Golden State, they were a middling team until they made the trade. They were basically a 500 team.
They were,
Till
they
Butler
might have
came
been in the
on board.
play-in and probably not made the playoffs.
Yeah, so that completely changed the dynamic of who they are. The Clippers in a similar situation, too, because they got a guy in Kawhi who looks now like he's playing like a guy that's one of the best
Like
players in the
Kawhi.
league. Yeah, and Harden's having an all-NBA caliber season. Norman Powell's been good. The growth of Zubac has been incredible. And so then you look at Minnesota, similarly, trying to figure out a new dynamic when you bring over Julius Randle. And this is a group. And also, they've had success. You look at, they had a lot of good games against OKC here late in the season when they finally found their run. And they know going into those series that they can compete and play with them. So this is not a typical 6, 7, 8 scenario. Those are teams that are going to feel like if they do the things they're capable of, they can advance, even if they play the 1 seed.
This reminds me of a year when I was in San Antonio. We were a 2 seed until the last regular season. We lost the game and dropped to 7.
Oh, that's a...
And then we ended up playing the Clippers in the first round,
See?
which was a 7-game series. Ultimately, could have been or should have been a Western Conference Finals type of matchup.
Yeah.
And are we a normal regular 7 seed? No. Minnesota being 8th? No. They're very good. Before a month ago, I would have said, I didn't believe in them or trust them in the playoffs, and it looked like that trade would have been one of the worst trades in the history of Minnesota. But it's looking a lot better now.
Yeah.
Julius is back. He's playing really well. They're figuring it out, and they're playing really good basketball. And they're one of the teams, I said, at the bottom of that list that can really upset a 2 or 3 seed.
It's going to be so good this year. The playoffs are. That's our second game here on NBA TV. The Bucks are playing the Los Angeles Lakers, and I made a little joke before about the fans in Los Angeles, but it's real. They got a blessing. When they added Luka Doncic, that is a generational type of talent.
For the next 10 years.
I mean, that doesn't just land in your lap. So the addition of him, GA, what does that mean for this Lakers franchise?
Well, it's changed their entire trajectory. I think it also potentially prolongs LeBron's career because I think it adds more joy. Listen, this is a group, like overnight it feels like they've all of a sudden become a legitimate contender to win that Western Conference. And what's most impressive about it, you get Luka over. The irony is they're better defensively.
Yeah.
They've got guys, Dorian Finney-Smith, who's really stepped up. Jared Vanderbilt dealt with injury all season. Jackson Hayes, who I think he's taken his game to a whole nother level, but a lot of that is predicated on the impact that LeBron and Luka bring. Like, those are 2 guys along with that guy. I think J.J. Redick, in my estimation, is probably Coach of the Year. And that's going out on a limb. But it's because the expectations were so low.
For that, because before getting Luka, we don't know if that conversation happened.
But they were playing good basketball before the trade with AD being out. And so this is a group, and when you look at them on paper, they shouldn't be necessarily where they are when you look at their supporting cast compared to some of these other teams. So it's been impressive.
For sure. I mean, when the trade happened, I'll admit I didn't think it was going to work at all. But I thought this was for the future. Like when LeBron leaves, Luka kind of take over.
Right.
With a guy like that, no matter who you have around him, he gives you a chance.
Absolutely.
And you've seen what he's done in the past, Western Conference Finals, because of how good he is. So you always have a chance. You could surround him with a good amount of players. I didn't think it was winning right now, but they're winning right now. And they're letting the people know we're here now. So they figured it out. And I think a lot to do was with Austin. Austin Reeves is playing that third-man role, scoring, making plays for other guys, making it easy for like Gabe Vincent, Dorian Finney-Smith, Vanderbilt, Jackson Hayes. All those guys are able to just do what they do at a very efficient rate. So those 3 said, I didn't think it was going to work, but they're making it look really good, and really they can be one of those teams that come out of the West if they're healthy.
I think that when the trade was made, a lot of people were very confident in the offensive ability of that addition.
Yeah, but not the
Luka
defense, yeah.
Right. And so I think, GA, the point you brought up about how good the defense has been, and I think it goes into your peer group. You guys know this, the culture of a locker room, right? And when you get someplace and who is the alpha, who is that leader, and what do they do and not just say? When you have a player like LeBron James, what is your option when you're playing side next to him?
I think it makes things for Luka a lot easier, not just for now, but it helps him understand how to be a professional, make his career longer, but show him how to be a leader as well. In Dallas, I'm not saying Kyrie wasn't that guy, but I think LeBron's more of a guy that he looks up to.
Right.
Instead of a peer, a mate. You know
I
what
would
I'm saying?
agree.
Like Robin Hood. I think it was Batman Robin. That was Kyrie. I think he's looking at him as something a little different.
The other aspect of that too, though, is it speaks to, in fairness, to LeBron's greatness, because LeBron's the one that's made the adjustment.
Yeah.
And he's the one that's played defensively at a whole different level, all the while still scoring at the same time, still rebounding it. The assists are a notch down, but his impact defensively, he's guarding the 5,
that's
the
crazy.
4. You know, that's what to me has been most impressive. It doesn't always show up statistically from an individual standpoint, but when you go, because they basically play small.
Yes.
And now but they don't get hurt on the offensive glass, because that's the underrated part of Luka's game. He's a phenomenal rebounder.
Him and Brian.
And so now you've got those two guys with the IQ that they have, and the fact that there is no game plan to stop either. There really isn't. And that's why they're going to have a chance.
It's just so crazy to see Bron at 40, run the floor, getting put back, dunks, rebounds. You see the outlet passes he's catching. It's like at what point do you think he's going to slow down? And he, time and time again, proves everybody wrong.
He's going to feel real good by the time he gets back.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Nice little break,
couple week rest.
Fresh legs.
Yeah.
All right, so the Lakers are playing the Milwaukee Bucks, and one of their superstars is Damian Lillard. One of our superstars here, Candace Parker, had a chance to sit down and speak with Dame, and we're going to let you. Pre-game show, here's a look at Obi Toppin for the Indiana Pacers. His head coach, Rick Carlisle, talked to the press. We're going to let you listen in now.
You've talked in the past about this Brooklyn team, about just how hard they play and how much they're still a challenge regardless of what their record is. Obviously, they've played a lot of teams close lately, and they've certainly had some personnel shakeups, but, you know, how do you still, I guess, continue to see that in them? What stands out to you as a kind of continued challenge for just the way they play?
Yeah, they have hard-charging athletes with skill, and their bigs are improving. Like Sharpe had 9 offensive rebounds last time we played these guys. And the guy goes and gets the ball. He's huge. He has great hands. He's underrated athletically. Claxton is around the rim all the time. Clowney has hurt us a lot in the last 2 years. I mean, he's becoming a really, really good all-around player at the 4 position who can play 5, and he makes threes. Watford plays a lot like Marshall and Washington did last night. I mean, he just keeps coming at you, and so these aren't some of these